Some big transitions at West Bloomfield Town Hall are on their way after 22 years of service. Our longtime Water Utilities Department Director at Haapala will be retiring in April, and his replacement is coming from in-house, who's been on his team for over a decade as well, and nearly all of that time. Joining us is the longtime Water Utilities Director of West Bloomfield Township, Ed Haapala, on the Splash Live. Ed, thank you for being with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on, and congratulations on a stellar career at West Bloomfield Township and on your impending retirement. You've been with the township for 22 years. That's a long time to be in any job. And, way back in early 2002, when you started in this position, did you ever imagine you would be looking forward 22 years later and here you'd be after a long-standing career, coming into work every single day, loving what you do for those 22 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think most public works directors don't really envision doing this even out of high school or when they're in college. It is really something that you fall into. My career, stemmed very early, even just before I started college. I went to Fair State in civil technologies program. I hit the ground running as a civil engineering technologist and did a lot of inspection for several local communities throughout the state of Michigan. You name it, it was basically from tearing out everything, knowing road and surface items, all the way down to deep underground for water, sewer, storm, even into treatment plants. And one thing led to the next. Wound up finishing up night school, going on to graduate school, and also gaining all of the back then DEQ licenses that were required to put you in these type of positions. So no, I wasn't really planning on, 22 years. It's just I'm at this juncture.
And as you say that, you say, yeah, I wasn't planning on 22 years, but that ends up happening anyway. And so, what do you think played into you staying around for so long, 22 years on this job? What about this job has kept you here for over 2 decades?
That's another really good question. And I think it comes down to, it really does, when you get into civil construction engineering, and you tie that back to public service, which I always thought was a higher calling, and why I wanted to convert into government a long time ago. It's that passion. It's what you want to do, that you want to be helpful. So, what's kept me driven here too is the people, and I have handpicked every individual that's here, whether I've inherited one who was a superintendent with more than 39 years. And, it's those people and their dedication and watching the growth and watching other younger men come into their own and being able to mentor and coach and find those coachable opportunities, I think is something that's been somewhat challenging, but also extremely rewarding for me as a director.
And so, Ed, as you talk about that, you talked about having a great team behind you and having someone with a lot of experience that's been working with you pretty much through all this. And one of those individuals that you may be speaking of is Justin Taylor, who is set to succeed you as the acting director of the Water Utilities Department. He's been with your team for a very long time. So as we have this massive transition from a stable leader that's been in this department for so long, what can the public expect as this transition happens with Justin now taking over the department?
It will essentially be seamless. Justin has been tied at the hip in the higher level operations of water and sewer in our department for years. He spent his first initial 8 years in the field in water and sewer operations. In his last 10 years, he's been an administrative superintendent, which covers the whole pot. And he has a lot of experience. He is tied right outside my door. and a lot of conversations. These jobs, they're just not an 8 to 5 job. They require really 24/7. You have to be on your game. You have to understand when to respond and how to respond accordingly. You're keeping track of a lot of moving parts, and you're pushing a lot of machinery and understanding what's going on with a very large and breathing water and sewer system that the standard public just doesn't see or think about, and that's fine because that's our role to ensure that these things are effectively or efficiently handled.
Ed Haapala is with us. He is the Water Utilities Director for West Bloomfield Township, as he has been for 22 years. His retirement impending and will occur at the end officially of April, as Justin Taylor will become the acting director. At a recent meeting where Justin Taylor's role as acting director soon to come was officially recognized by the West Bloomfield Township Board, we had a chance to hear from both you, Ed, and a little bit from Justin on this transition. Let's take a look at some of the words that both of you had to say.
He's been with the department 18 years, over which the last 10 he's been our administrative superintendent. Mr. Taylor has been tied at my hip. I started in early 2002 as your director of the Water and Sewer Utilities Department. Justin is connected not only administratively but also technically. He handles all bread and butter incoming calls that come in, problems, challenges, and the like.
After working in the private sector of the water industry 18 years ago, I came to the township here. My mentor at the time saw something in me and made the hire. I'm really glad he did.
Justin Taylor, you saw that at the end of the clip. He will be your new acting Water Utilities Director, as Ed Haapala, who's with us on the Splash Live, joins us. He is retiring after 22 years on the job. And Ed, you talked about it earlier on. This isn't an 8 to 5 job. It's often something that you have to be on your game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's because when things happen in this department that involve this department, that's when people really want to know that they're in good hands and they're going to have that quick, expedient, and safe service. And I think about years ago when we've had a couple of these water main break incidents, including in 2017 and in 2021, some of which involved boil water advisories for several days and involved partnerships between a number of local communities. And so for people that may look at the Water Utilities Department and not understand the impact that it has, tell us just about the work that you and your department do every single day behind the scenes that keep us safe and our services excellent in West Bloomfield.
Tyler, that's something that, I don't want to take up your whole program and dive too deep into the weeds. And it is a constant proactive, preventive maintenance, reactive maintenance, responsive to issues that occur. It's a very large system. For those that are wondering, how big is our water and sewer system? West Bloomfield is considered large for a municipal water system at 374 miles. Your sanitary sewer collection system is large, stands at 335 miles, and you have 23 individual sanitary sewage lift station pumping facilities. So when things like that happen, when you have a large transmission break, these are big feeders on 14 Mile that the Great Lakes Water Authority inherited from the old DWSD. That takes a lot, and it was the experience and the dedication, a lot of things going on behind the scenes, a lot of coordination with our local communities. West Bloomfield was able to, because of how its system has been designed, where it is robust, it was able to serve lifeblood not only to continue to make a lot of internal adjustments hydraulically to our system here locally, but also to ensure that water went to Commerce Township, Walled Lake, Wixom, and a portion of Novi. So you're talking about a lot of substantial water, about 11 million gallons a day, coursing through our system through manipulation of valves and bolts and different things that we pay attention to. Whereas the average water use, like right now, in the winter is about 4.6 million gallons a day. In the summer, you're upwards of 6.5 million. So we average about 5.6 million gallons of drinking water use a day that's metered.
Ed Haapala with us. He is the Water Utilities Director at West Bloomfield Township. He will be retiring in just a few weeks. And then Justin Taylor, who's been a longtime superintendent with him on the Water Utilities team, will be taking over. As we wrap this up and we say our goodbyes to you here on the Splash Live, anything else that you'd like to say about your career at West Bloomfield Township, or anything you'd like to tell us about your plans for retirement?
Well, when you get into these positions, in particular this one, it is both rewarding and challenging. And it does take a high degree of energy and dedication. Dedication is one thing, but energy is another. I'm not exactly a spring chicken anymore. I will be moving on and still be auxiliary to the township, in particular to the water and sewer department. I will be moving on as a consultant, as an executive director of business development and strategy for DLZ. DLZ has a local office out of Waterford, and they are the engineer of record for West Bloomfield. DLZ actually purchased the old Johnson and Anderson that was out of Waterford, that civil firm, just over about 3.5-4 years ago. And they do us a good job. They understand when we need horsepower, and they also get it that we are watching the nickels and dimes here with respect to being budget minded and conscious. We are extremely conscious, and our board does a good job also, I believe, of looking after rates. There's things that are coming in the future that are just, really out of everyone's control. There will be more regulatory requirements, not only from the state, but also the federal level. So as the department continues to grow and evolve, I'm pleased to be able to still be part of their solution. And that's one of the things I think that I've always tried to impart, at least to the individuals on the top end, even all the way down, I suppose, to everyone, is always, it's a strong probability that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I believe we have some forward thinkers here in the department. I hope that I've, made an impact. I'm certainly leaving this department a heck of a lot better than I came into it.
And that's the big thing, is you always want to leave knowing that you've made an impact and you've done something good for your community and for those that you've been around, especially when you've been around all these individuals for over 20 years. Ed, congratulations on a great career, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Make it a
it.
good rest of your day.